the latest update that we have on the WNBA is the All-Star game is coming up. And last night, they had a draft of the All-Star players, with Nafisa Collier being one of the captains of one of the All-Star teams, and Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark being the captain of the other team. And we've seen this draft process go on before, Kerry, where in the NBA, Giannis and LeBron have drafted, and it was nice for a while, but then it got a little bit old. There's more drama on who is the first pick and who's the last pick. In the middle, it kind of settles out. But I thought that last night's WNBA draft, All-Star game draft, provided some interesting, let's just call them drama threads throughout that for some reason keep this league just pumping and pumping with attention and excitement.
Yeah, you'll have to break down all the little details of what happened in that draft. I do know that, I guess the immediate fallout was everybody who had beef or had some type of tiff with the great Caitlin Clark was not on her team. I saw that. And there's more to that story. I want you to break it down a little bit more for me, Dan, but that was my immediate thing. Nobody that she had beef with was on her team.
I think it's an opportunity for Caitlin Clark to now stand up for herself, and I feel that she's doing it in a way that isn't in your face and telling everybody about it. But I found it very interesting. Now, Breanna Stewart initially had comments when Clark was coming into the NBA because there was a lot of question on, was Caitlin Clark the greatest college basketball player that we've ever seen?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people who were saying, well, Breanna Stewart look at what she did at UConn, all of her accolades.
Right.
Clark never won a national championship. So Breanna Stewart was kind of thrown into the mix. I think that Caitlin Clark and Breanna Stewart have a good relationship.
Yes.
And even throughout this back and forth that was going on, Caitlin Clark even said, hey, I'll try to acquire Breanna Stewart if you can, bring her on my team. And Nafisa Collier's like, I'm not going to trade. I'm not going to trade her. But still, Breanna Stewart is not on Caitlin Clark's team. The most recent thing that we saw was at Crypto.com in Los Angeles when Kelsey Plum of the Los Angeles Sparks went up to a fan who was wearing a Caitlin Clark T-shirt and gave her an LA Sparks T-shirt instead of the Caitlin Clark shirt that the fan was wearing, and said, make sure that doesn't happen again. And then most notably, Angel Reese was not drafted by Caitlin Clark. And there is an opportunity for Caitlin Clark, I think, if she wanted to make good, and she could have drafted Angel Reese as part of her team. But that would have soothed things over. But I don't know. I don't think that Caitlin Clark should do that. I don't think Caitlin Clark has to do that.
Right.
And in a way, I'm now wondering, because Caitlin Clark is on this certain trajectory that I don't believe that Angel Reese is not, although NBA 2K may tell you otherwise. But maybe it's even better for now Caitlin Clark to leave Angel Reese in the dust. But the fact of the matter is Caitlin Clark did not pick Angel Reese last night as part of the NBA draft, or the All-Star Game WNBA draft.
Well, for Caitlin Clark to leave Angel Reese in the dust, she needs to be healthy and on the court playing basketball. I mean, obviously the hyperbole of all of this is, we know that Caitlin Clark's a better player, all-around player, but she hasn't been on the court this year, right? And when she's played, she's been up and down this year. So for me, they've both had their moments. Obviously, when you talk about, who's going to be the face.
What moments has Angel Reese had?
Well, she's had double-doubles that she continues to do. That streak is still one of those things that's alive. I know she's not the best as far as finishing around the hoop. We all know that. That's evident. I can see it. But what has Caitlin Clark done? She's shot poorly from the three. She's turned the ball over. And when she's played, her team hasn't won as much as she should. Like, this team is coming into the year should be one of the favorites, and they're sitting around 500. So I'm talking about from an overall scope of looking at both of them right now in this moment. They're both two-time All-Stars. Caitlin Clark is the more polished player. There's no question. She is the face and can be the face of the WNBA. She's not the face. A'ja Wilson's the face, but Caitlin Clark is the person that brings in the outside casual fan to the game. So there is still some stuff still to be determined here as far as the product on the court, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. So you think that it's the gap is not as wide between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese?
At the present moment, meaning what they put out
even
on the court.
Even after she's bricking shot after shot and getting her own rebound. And
Sure. Caitlin Clark isn't hitting her shots either. I'm just saying right now, the way they're playing.
And you think A'ja Wilson's the face of the WNBA right now?
Yes. She's the best player in the league.
Well, that's different than the face of the
and
of
I just
the
said
WNBA.
I said that before. I said Caitlin Clark is still the will be the face.
Yeah.
But A'ja Wilson is the best player. So
yeah,
yes.
I don't argue with that portion of it. But in terms
yeah.
of what we recognize with the league, I do think that it's Caitlin Clark. And I thought Caitlin Clark did a really good job last night in trying to make that broadcast bearable because it's not an easy thing to do. You have to make it exciting. You have to, be energetic. And the most energetic point came when I think, aside from Angel Reese, who hasn't necessarily thrown direct shade on Caitlin Clark's game, but just throughout her career has either taunted or said other things or tried to be part of the conversation. Cheryl Reeve is the Minnesota Lynx head coach, and she was going to be the head coach of Caitlin Clark's team until this happened.
To be completely honest, I love my team. I think they're great. I don't have any intentions of really trading any of them. I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care. But I think we've already discussed we are going to trade coaches. Fee's going to take her coach, Sandy Brondello. Let's get it. It's going to be amazing. Sorry, WNBA, if that's not in the rule. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules, but we just made it a rule. So, Sandy Brondello, come on over.
Whoa!
Let's get to it. You can coach Sabrina. So, therefore, maybe Stewie wants to come on over to my team.
Whoa!
Let me know. Fee, you want to give me Stewie?
No.
So there was the Brianna Stewart aspect of
Right.
it, but let's be real. They didn't swap coaches so Nafisa Collier could be coached by her head coach. They swapped coaches because Caitlin Clark didn't want to deal with Cheryl Reeve, who had a lot of comments to say about the Olympic team and at other points throughout the WNBA season. Caitlin Clark wanting no part of the Minnesota Lynx head coach.
The crazy part about what we're talking about right now is it is very interesting. Like I'm really enamored with, I guess, the attention that this is all bringing in. And I think it's fun for the sport. I think it's good for the sport as well. I actually think it's fun that she didn't draft Angel Reese.
Yes.
And keep that brewing. I mean, even if it's not a real thing, we see it that way, right? So run with it.
I think a couple of things have now happened. The tide has turned, and while not everything is on Caitlin Clark's side, she's in a much better position now as a second-year professional in the WNBA than in year one. I actually think now it can benefit Caitlin Clark to have this beef.
Yeah.
I felt up until this point recently, everybody else who had hated on Caitlin Clark had tried to do it to benefit themselves. So then when Sophie Cunningham does the shove of the Connecticut Sun, J.C. Sheldon, and now Sophie Cunningham has shirts and jerseys being sold out on Fanatics and has become a social media star. That was a tide turner as well. That changed part of the narrative. If I'm Caitlin Clark, not only am I now trying to keep this narrative, but she's sticking up for herself.
Yes, she is.
And not that she didn't do it last year, but I think it was difficult when there were so many things coming at her. Now I think she feels empowered. Now she has people on her side and has the ability to make a move like this, to trade the all-star coach that had talked ish about her and put her on the other team. And I'll tell you what, for what Cheryl Reeve had said previously about Caitlin Clark, I'm not saying that she needs to kiss the ring, but you're never going to escape that when you went out of your way to try to be negative and to try to prove a point. And I think now that the tables have turned, I think some people are really going to regret the stuff that they said about Caitlin Clark because now the power seems to be in Clark's hands.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody's finding out that when Caitlin Clark plays and she plays well, the league is a better league. And if she doesn't and the vitriol that comes towards her isn't warranted, you're the one that's going to catch the flack now. Nobody's actually looking at Caitlin Clark and thinking that she's a minus when it comes to that league, right?
Correct.
There's nothing about her that's a minus when it comes to that league. So the power that she is and the power that she possesses as, one of the best players in that game and the face of that league, you can't take shots at that unwarranted. I mean, people will come after you and you will be, put on this level playing field with her and actually have to answer to those remarks. And that's not a safe space to be in right now.
There's critiques. Doug Gottlieb on this show has critiqued Caitlin Clark's jump shot.
Yeah.
And it said, this needs work. That isn't in an unnecessary shot. That's basketball analysis.
100%.
And I think basketball analysis is fair, but there were a lot of people who tried to pile on and take their shots and say what they had to say just because they wanted to be a part of the conversation or they wanted their, pound of flesh.
Right.
And now I think the tables have turned. I don't think that it's completely on Caitlin Clark's side, but number one, I feel she's way more empowered than she was a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, I think she can use all of this negativity to her advantage.
For sure. You saw the Carolyn Peck comments about her.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So that was another one that was just recent. And obviously, again, if she's playing, she's not going to set herself up for those type of remarks, right? Like now, when you're not playing and you're not playing your best when you went out, people feel that there is some validation there. And that's kind of what I'm talking about at the moment of talking about the gap between her and, Angel or whatever. There is a gap. We know that. I mean, Caitlin Clark's a better player. But at the moment, they're both two-time All-Stars, and they're both on teams that aren't, like, they're underachieving, so to speak.
I would be remiss if I did not go to Jason Stewart and Iowa Sam, our resident Caitlin Clark fan club, coming from two different directions. I do want to start with you, Jason. Last night, you see Caitlin Clark give the stiff arm to Cheryl Reeve and all these other players. As a resident Caitlin Clark watcher and watching all of her games, did you feel a tide turning last night, or have you felt this tide turning that we've been talking about?
Kind of. Just to back up a little bit, I'm all about what Caitlin is doing. Whoever is informing her of her decisions, messaging-wise, attitude-wise, everything has been spot on. Starting with her turning down that stupid 3-on-3 league, they needed her much more than she needed them. Mm-hmm. She said no thanks, and they're worse off for it. And they know it, too. So starting then, she's been making great decision after great decision. She's kind of allowed everyone else to do her talking, especially even during the injury here. The ratings are doing the talking. The interest in the league is doing the talking, and it's loudly telling us that the league just doesn't move the needle without her. Mm-hmm. And then last night just confirmed that she's just making good decisions. I want to rid my life of the negativity. I want to move on with the positivity, and I'll let everything else do the talking for me. Make sense?
Absolutely. 100%. But I think she could also do the talking with these actions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was a coincidence. I think it would have been easy to draft Angel Reese. I think it would have been the easy thing to do.
Right.
And when it's kind of when you get into a fight maybe with a significant other and you are probably in the right, but you will apologize to make things good.
Yeah.
Because it's fine. I'm rarely in the right, Kerry. I'm just saying
you're not right at all.
Yes,
ever.
I'm never, rarely, or maybe once in a blue moon. But you do it for the sake of the household and where you are at.
Yeah.
And I think that she could do that. That actually would be the easy thing to do.
Yeah.
But to not do that and to be like, yeah, I'm not going to put up when she's, if I give her a hard foul and she's going to try to get in my face or she continues to talk. And I think at some point, and I think that point is now, is it actually benefits Clark as opposed to Angel Reese.
Yeah, did you want to go to Iowa Sam?
Yes.
No, I echo everything Jason said. I mean, when she can, she's playing basketball and just doing her thing. Everyone else is speaking on behalf of her.
Yeah.
Like, with you have anything that's super popular, there's always going to be a negative. There's always going to be detractors. I think that even with that soundbite we played a few minutes ago, she made it fun and playful, but I understand the reasons why she did what she did. Like, she wasn't entitled to go on the Olympic team, but it was a massive mistake. Like, there's been mistakes made on decisions made on her behalf that she had no control over, and they're mistakes in hindsight. But basically, I think she's played everything very well, just like Jason said.
I think if people weren't so defensive, and Cheryl Reeve wasn't so defensive in what her comments were that ended up seemingly attacking Caitlin Clark, if you're political and you just say the right things, it's no harm, no foul. But it felt like people were on the aggressive when they would make these comments, and now it's coming back. It's coming back to bite them.
Oh, 100% last year was all personal.
Yeah.
I mean, it had nothing to do with anything but that. Like, people had their own egregious opinions about it all, right? And it wasn't based off the basketball play. It was based off their lack of satisfaction. Oh, I can't even think of the word.
Satisfaction.
Thank you. Satisfaction with themselves when it came to that story.
Kerry could not get no satisfaction. He could not. He could not. Find him on X at Kerry25Rhodes. You can find me at Dan Beyer on Fox, Iowa Sam at Iowa Sam99, and Jason Stewart at Jason Stewart. I'll also add this because it is part of the conversation. Today we found out that Angel Reese is going to be one of the alternate covers on the NBA 2K26 video game, becoming the third WNBA star to be on an alternate cover. Candace Parker was on one. Asia Wilson was on one. Where is the outrage from all of the other WNBA stars that they have not been on a cover before Angel Reese has? You're hearing crickets. You don't think Brianna Stewart should have been on the cover before Angel Reese should?
What about Nafisa Collier?
Nafisa Collier.
She's the leading scorer in the WNBA.
Yes.
She was in the title game last year with the Lynx.
As someone pointed out, very nice of her to wear her Unrivaled shirt during the WNBA draft last night, the league that is kind of in competition that she also plays in, and she's a part of founding. That was interesting. But there isn't this uproar that Angel Reese is on the cover of a video game for an alternate cover. Imagine what would have happened if Caitlin Clark was on that cover.
Is this the Beatles?
Dun, dun, dun.
Is this the Beatles? Imagine all the people. I when I looked at it, like you said, there was no outrage, but I thought of it from a business perspective, right? The logical move, obviously, the one that everybody would expect it to be is Caitlin Clark, right? There's this underlying beef that's been brewing since college, right? And so from a business standpoint, putting Angel Reese on the cover to extend that conversation a little bit further and ruffle a few more feathers actually brings more eyes to it, right? Now we're talking about it, right? So if it was from that perspective, I can understand, but I also would want to know if they went to Caitlin Clark first and she turned it down. Like that would be the things in my mind that I had that kind of spiked my attention. You know?
Maybe. Angel Reese is on the cover missing a shot. No, I'm kidding. She's driving to the basket.
Is it an action shot? She's missing it and she's grabbing the rebound?
Driving to the basket. It's actually a similar look than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is on his. Carmelo Anthony is the other alternate cover.